Hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy Sunday. Nick here with Smitty to help you break down today's NBA DFS slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Kind of a weird time today. We're starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going to run the show till about 5:45 Eastern. Just keep in mind the slate locks at 6 Eastern Standard Time today. Six-game slate, same slate on both sites, which is good to see. But a ton of news we're waiting on. I know both of us are kind of tilting NFL right now, Smitty, so probably good to transition over to the NBA. But what's your initial take on this slate?
I think it's a pretty good slate. There's quite a bit of news. Some of it we'll have before lock, some of it we won't. So just be sure you're monitoring news on this Sunday.
Oh yeah, for sure. Always the case in NBA, but seems like even more than usual today. We do have enough time, I think, to go team by team, but we got to be really quick, especially some of these spots without injuries. So what I'm going to do for a game like this with Boston and Washington, I'm just going to group them together because we have all the news. I think we're going to get no Horford for Boston, which is somewhat significant. Over on the Wizards side, no Brogdon, no Kaishan George, no Corey Kispert, no Kyle Kuzma, still no Sadiq Bey. They are very thin. 17.5 point spread here. I think we dealt with this. I don't know if I was on with you last week, and we were talking about the spread. It was similar, and it ended up being a really close game. Was definitely a game you wanted to have exposure to. So yeah, obviously we're a little bit afraid of the spread here, but at the same time, clear upside for all these Boston players. Very good matchup against the Wizards. On the Wizards side, I mean, you can't feel great about the matchup, but with so many guys missing, clearly some upside for them. So let me ask you this. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on the site. With Horford out, obviously that's a little bit of a boost to Porzingis. We've seen, regardless of which position Boston's missing a starter, it usually does benefit Peyton Pritchard. So him coming off the bench probably sees a little bit of a boost as well. But any core plays for you at this in this 6 o'clock game because I do think there's some good pieces here, but at the same time, we're waiting on so much news. I don't want to get too heavy on this game and kind of hope things shake out for us. Maybe we get some better value throughout the evening.
Yeah, that's about how I feel. I think Champagne on DraftKings is a pretty solid play. He's $1,000 cheaper than he is on FanDuel. So
Mm.
I like him as far as Washington and Koulibaly at 5,200. I wouldn't say Koulibaly's really a core play, but I think Champagne is he's up there. He looks like one of the better values on the slate. And then getting to Tatum and Porzingis always feels good. I don't think they're musts, but on this slate, I think they're pretty high upside plays.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I do think Champagne is kind of the one core play from Washington over on DK. I think Koulibaly looks good on both sides. Again, better on DK where he's a little bit cheaper. I don't know. Jordan Poole, kind of boomer bust. Not much else I want from Washington. I'm with you on Boston. I did want to ask you, though, what's your take on Pritchard here? I wanted to check the ownership. Yeah, pretty low owned. And I know his prices come up, but we have seen in games, whether they blow out or not, that he's going to be heavily involved. And if he gets a few extra minutes with Horford out, maybe he's someone we want to get exposure to. To me, he's a pretty good tournament play, but maybe I'm a little bit too excited to get to him here.
Yeah, I agree. We have him for 26 minutes. It's possible he gets up to 30 minutes, and then he's going to look really good, especially at 12%, 10% ownership. I think he's a good GPP play.
Nice, man. Yeah, so right there aligned with you on that one. And I agree. I do think Tatum's good. There's a lot of good payups on this slate, though. But let's move into the next game here. And this is interesting. I'm looking at um, one schedule on my other screen on a site, and it says that the New York Orlando game. Oh, okay. The site I'm looking at has the New York Orlando game scheduled at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is incorrect, but we'll talk about that one now. That one also locks here at 6 o'clock Eastern. So, again, if you're waiting on news, maybe you don't get too much of this game, but at the same time, there are some injuries here, especially on the Orlando side of things. Obviously, no Franz Wagner or Pablo Banquero still. Jonathan Isaac is available. Obviously, he's been playing limited minutes. Yeah, the price on Goga is kind of insane, right? 5,500 over on DK. He looks really solid here. Pretty tight spread in this one too. Even with Orlando missing a few of their best players, we've seen Suggs really take over the usage for this offense with both Pinchero and Wagner out. For me, these two are plays I'm definitely going to be getting to on DK. I think on FanDuel as well, because for whatever reason they're giving Goga power forward eligibility over there. So those two I have circled. Anthony Black kind of decent as value. It seems like he's going to be outplaying Cole Anthony for the most part, even with these other guys out. So I love Goga and Suggs on both sites. I like Anthony Black as well. What's your take on Orlando before we move over to the Knicks? Knicks are pretty healthy. I don't know that we'll have much to talk about there.
Yeah, exactly the same for me. Mainly those three guys. I don't hate taking shots on Wendell Carter on DraftKings where he has power forward eligibility. But other than that, it's pretty much just GPP plays. But I think Goga, Suggs, and Anthony Black look good.
Nice, man. Yeah, that's good to hear. And it is nice to see Carter finally have a really good game. Played 34 minutes, got over 30 fantasy points. We know he's capable of that. It's been a while since we've seen it, so nice to see that from him. Over on the New York side, I don't think we need to spend too much time over here. Not a great matchup for them. They're all kind of reasonably owned. I think you could get to any of the starters. Maybe Miles McBride as well. You feel okay about it. But is there anything from New York you're prioritizing?
No, not really. At their low ownership, they all play really good minutes, so they're all good GPP plays, but no priorities.
Yep, I'm right there with you, man. And this game does have a 213 point total, one of the lowest on the slate. I will get to chat, everyone, but I want to just rip through the first few games so we get a nice pace going here. But another game with a pretty low total. We have the Timberwolves at the Spurs. Let's take a look at this one. I know the Spurs are missing a few key pieces. Timberwolves are healthy. So let's talk about them first. I don't know that we need to dig too deep here. I mean, I don't know. Mike Conley's Mike Conley. He's cheap enough you could use him as value. I think Anthony Black is kind of a similar pivot, or you could get up to Pritchard if you have the salary, especially if Conley's going to be popular. But in cash games, as a floor play, he's not terrible. Edwards, we haven't seen the ceiling out of him much yet this year. I think you can get to him on FanDuel where he's sub 9K. Randall actually has been kind of the most consistent of this group. But Jaden McDaniels spiked for a massive, massive ceiling game last time out. It looks like the field's getting there a little bit. I'm fine going back there today. I do think Nas Reed's kind of a logical pivot, especially against a pretty big Spurs team. But at the same time, I probably do want to get some exposure to him in a thin forward position. But what's your take on Minnesota? I think they look pretty good. Getting a lot of love on FanDuel, not as much over on DraftKings, though.
Yeah. You mentioned Jaden McDaniels. I think he looks the best on DraftKings, point per dollar wise. Mike
Mhm.
Conley's just kind of one of those. If he fits, if he makes your lineup work, I'm okay with it, but not really someone I want to prioritize. And then Nas and Gobert, I think, are just kind of higher upside options to put in your lineup.
Yep. I mean, Gobert price where he should be pretty consistently gets you around 30 fantasy points. I don't know that I want to play him tonight necessarily, but Reed coming off a really bad game, if we're being honest, in large field tournaments, I think he's okay. But you're not getting super leverage playing him because it's not like McDaniels is all that popular either. I agree. I think I'd rather play McDaniels. Over on the Spurs side of things, we are waiting on some news. So we're going to kind of have to do these if then scenarios. Taking a look at San Antonio, Stephon Castle questionable. Now the front runner probably for the rookie of the year with McCain going down. Zach Collins is doubtful. Keldon Johnson is out, and Trey Jones is questionable. So if Castle's out, I know I want to get to Chris Paul. No one is playing him today. He got ejected last game. I was super heavy on him. That kind of ruined my night. But if Castle's out, I do think Paul looks really good here, especially at low ownership. The other Champagne, it's crazy we're playing both these guys. He looks okay. Definitely better if Castle's out. And then Wemby's Wemby. I think if you can get to him, he's fine. Obviously, not the best matchup here against Gobert, but I don't know. On a slate like this, I think all these high upside plays are worth kind of mixing in. But what's your take on San Antonio here? Do you have a lean? Do you think Castle plays? I'm not really sure. I know it's a shoulder injury. But I'd obviously prefer him to be out so we could get to some of these other pieces. But where are you at on San Antonio as things stand?
Yeah, I don't really have a lean there. I would kind of think he plays, but I'm not 100% sure. I think Castle, if he plays, looks okay. If he's out, Paul and Sohan will look better. And then Devin Vassell looks like a pretty good GPP play either way on DraftKings at only 6% ownership.
Nice, man. Yeah, I like the Vassell call. That price has not come up, and still no Keldon Johnson. So even if Castle's in, there's going to be some minutes to go around for Devin Vassell. Taking a quick look over at chat, we get a lot of comments here, guys. So uh, definitely appreciate you tuning in. We got Heath. What's up, Paul? What's good? The good with soccer got me the money to play NBA. Let's keep it rolling, man. I know I'm trying to make up some of that NFL money from earlier today. Josh D here with the sub. Al Horford is out. We just talked about Boston, so I think we're there. Jose, Buffalo Bill stacks looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean, whether you're doing good and you want to keep it rolling or you're doing bad and you want to kind of race that memory, we're here to help you with this NBA slate. A lot of NFL talk is John Moran a must play. We'll get to Memphis, I think, next. They're coming up. And what else? Yeah, Suggs and A Black, totally agree. Does LeBron play? We'll talk about all these questions when we get to their respective games. And again, guys, if we miss anything, just keep asking in the chat. We'll get to everything. Greetings to the Americans on screen from the Spaniard. Back at it from Darnell. Thumbs up from Charles. Appreciate all you guys again. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are going to keep plugging away here. And yeah, comment that Ja hates the Lakers. I think he hates everyone. He was beefing with my Nets the other night, almost fought Jordy Fernandez until Schroeder stepped in, and then Schroeder got traded the next day. So really shows what loyalty gets you in the NBA. But let's move to the next game now. We're into this 8 o'clock window, and the next few games are staggered. So there's a half-hour break between this game and the next one. But we got the Blazers taking on the Suns in Phoenix. So on the Blazers side of things, Ayton's out. So front court, definitely going to be interesting. Robert Williams is questionable. I did see Klingon is in earlier. But yeah, this front court's been kind of tough to navigate all season. Obviously, if Ayton's in, he's the guy. They've been giving some minutes, I want to say, to Klingon, but not consistently getting up there. We have him for 23 today. Who else? Robert Williams is questionable. We don't even have him in the model right now, but if he were to play, he's probably someone you want to consider. But he is on the injury report for quote unquote return to conditioning. So even if he's in, I got to kind of expect that he'll be limited. Not the best matchup against Phoenix here, but I don't know. I think Shady on Sharp looks good. Don't like the ownership very much. Anthony Simons definitely could spike an upside. I mean, Jeremy Grant from time to time looks good. And then Tumani Kamara, really not the most exciting play, but at the same time, he fills a thin forward position. He has guard and forward eligibility. We've seen him go over 30 fantasy points a few times this season. So at that price, someone you could maybe mix in. Is there anything, Smitty, from Portland that you're excited to get to here? I like Sharp. I just don't like the ownership. I'd maybe rather get to a little bit of Grant and Simons. It seems like if we're sorting by OF index, those two are actually above Sharp today. So if you can find the extra salary, maybe there is a bit of leverage to be had for Portland.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. On FanDuel, it seems like he's a bit overowned. DraftKings, I don't hate getting to Sharp. And
Yeah.
then Kamara at that price, whenever he's under 5K, I like going there. So I think at 4,500 on both sides, he looks like a pretty solid play. And then Simons is just that high upside option that you can put in your lineup, feel pretty good about most of the time. Along with Jeremy Grant, he hasn't been very good lately, but his price tag also reflects that. So I think he's worth some shots.
Yeah, Grant did have a decent game against San Antonio. Again, pretty inconsistent. Simons, I mean, you nailed it. He's kind of like a Jordan Poole, right? Very high ceiling, low floor, but you get him a little bit cheaper and actually in a better matchup than Poole's in today. So let's talk about Phoenix. I know Bradley Beal is questionable, pulling up the rest of their injury report. That's it. That's really all we need to worry about. So if Beal's out, obviously Booker and Durant are going to look better. Just keep in mind, Tyus Jones as well has had really good games this season. If any of that big three, Booker, Beal, Durant are out. So if Beal's out, I do want to get to some Tyus Jones, especially at this ownership. If he's in, I don't like much here for Phoenix except for Nurkic over on FanDuel, where they continue to misprice him. Only 5,300 there. I know you got to use up the center spot, but yeah, tough to get away from, especially with Portland so thin in that front court right now. But I'm going to ask you, I don't know that you will, but do you have a lean on whether Beal's going to be in or not tonight? Excuse me. It says his knee is swelling on the injury report. Kind of tough one to gauge. But are you getting here either way?
No, either way, I think it could bring some value to the slate, but not really a big deal. I really don't have a lean if he plays or not, but either way, I think all these guys are kind of GPP plays. KD probably being my favorite out of the bunch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, KD does feel a little bit cheap. Even if Beal's in, I think in a matchup like this, he could get there. So if you don't want to pay all the way up for the likes of AD, Luca, Wemby, I do think landing on KD and a couple other 9K plays to keep it balanced is a way you could go tonight. But pretty decent game there, 231 point total. But again, if Beal's out, going to be more appealing than it is right now. Moving into this 8:30 game, we have the Mavericks in Golden State taking on the Warriors. I did just mention that Dennis Schroeder got traded over to the Warriors. He will not be available yet tonight. But let's start on the Dallas side, actually. So Hardy and Kleber and Marshall are out. Still no Dante Exum. Um, ugh, I just hit The wrong button. But just a second here, going back to the model. That's actually going to refresh the data, so that's not a bad thing. But pulling up Dallas, I mean, Luka's Luka. I think if you can get to him, you got to like him. If you can't, Kyrie, 3K cheaper makes plenty of sense as well. I'm kind of not loving the Derek Lively ownership. I know he's been solid, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of good centers on this slate. To play him at like 26+% ownership on DK just doesn't feel great, especially knowing there are games where Gafford could take over. I've been talking about this every show with Dallas. I think Gafford is the better play against big front courts. Golden State is not a big front court, so I will say Lively's probably the better play here. At the same time, not a center I'm ever excited to get to at high ownership. I still think Washington's overpriced with Kyrie and Luka back. Want to see that price continue to come down before I get to him. But where are you at on Dallas? I mean, obviously Luka's Luka, Kyrie's Kyrie, but is there anything here you're prioritizing?
No, not really. I think Lively or Gafford look okay, but Gafford at the lower ownership, I'd probably prefer going there.
Yeah.
Kyrie's the only other one that I have some interest in. 8,200 feels a little cheap, but he also has Luca on the court, so he's playing second fiddle. So not a priority, but he's a fine GPP play.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want to be playing two of these guys together, obviously, on a bigger slate like this, but they both look fine. Not going to argue if you're getting a Luca or Kyrie. On the Golden State side, we are waiting on some news here. It looks like Curry's questionable, so that's obviously a huge one. I mentioned no Schroeder. Wiggins is questionable as well. So really, their two best offensive players this season are questionable. And yeah, they traded Melton. So I think Kaminga is going to continue to start here regardless of whether these guys are in or not. Last I checked, he was the most popular play on the slate. Probably good chalk. I think that price should probably have come up a little bit more than it has. 5,700 on DK, 6K over on FanDuel. I'm going to have to call him a core play for me here. Buddy Hield, if he does start again, I do think you could go to him. This team seems to hate Podzemski now, which is pretty funny. It's like become a meme at this point. So Hield's been getting more run as a result of that. Don't mind getting to Draymond. Pretty soft match up against the front court. If Curry's in at low ownership, you can mix him in. Same with Wiggins. But really, it's Kuminga here, right? And then I guess what's your take on Kuminga? And then how are you handling the rest of Golden State? This game does have a pretty high total, pretty favorable matchup too against Dallas.
Yeah, I think Kaminga, assuming even Curry plays, I think Kaminga is probably one of the best plays on the slate. And if Curry happens to be out, then Kaminga is pretty much a lock for me. Buddy Hield, I think looks good. He looks better even if Steph's out, but I'm kind of just building up as if Steph plays. And then Steph, I think himself is an okay GPP play on both sides, preferably FanDuel, where he's $1,000 cheaper.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I would probably mix in some Curry if he's in. I don't think many people are going to get to him. I do want to say Heal, though. I think he could be owned not as much as Kaminga, but I'm surprised he's not even more popular coming off two really solid games with Curry in. Again, if Curry's out, he's going to see even more shots here. Curry does create opportunities for him, so it's somewhat neutral either way. But as long as he starts, definitely a guy I'm going to be getting heavy exposure to. Let's take another quick look at chat before we get into the last game on the slate. We're making really good time, guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to get them in. Paul here saying Jaw hates the Lakers. We're about to talk about that game in just a minute. Hit the like, over 100 watching. Yeah, guys, let's get to 50 likes. That helps us keep getting this free content out to you on a regular basis. The douche here, our resident Suns fan. So he would know this better than anyone. Jeremy Grant owns the Suns. So if you wanted a reason to play Jeremy Grant tonight, the douche is giving him the cosign here. Don't mind it at all. What do we think about Klingon? I mean, for me, if Williams is out, I could see getting there. I want to check his minutes though, and that is a good question. Is this all this? The front court's been a mess for these guys. We have him for 23 minutes. In terms of value, he rates pretty well, actually better than Sharp on DK and FanDuel. So if you're getting to him, I'd say fine. Just feel better about it if Williams is out. At the same time, I mean, there is some volatility there. It's just nice. No, I was going to say that we could play him at power forward, but we can't. Um, yeah, I like him. I don't love him. I'm going to have some exposure. I'll definitely be over the field. Um, Probably going to have him in, I don't know, 15 to 20% of my lineups. Not that I'm playing over 100 tonight, but someone I'll have exposure to. But again, if Williams is out, I feel better about that. Do you have a take on Klingon? I mean, wasn't looking at him much coming into the show, but I'm glad that question came up because with 8 and out, he definitely makes some sense. They don't seem to like Doo-Wop Reed very much over there.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think he's a pretty good GPP play. Not someone I find as a priority, but I think he's worth getting over the field.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Trey Jones and Collins are out. Castle is in. So shouts out to Spaniard for dropping that news. I think Castle, you can still play him. Probably takes me off Chris Paul. Um, I don't know. It doesn't change too much. I'll give you this one, Smitty. LeBron, if he's in, or Tatum, DK single entry.
Tatum.
Tatum. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, LeBron, no one knows why he's out. I think Twitter wants to pretend it's because of the Diddy thing. I don't think that has anything to do with it. But yeah, I think he could be back tonight. If he's not, obviously AD is going to look great. And I'm going to use this to transition here into the final game on the slate. We have the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Lakers in LA, 235-point total, one of the highest on the board. But yeah, some injury news on both sides of the ball here. Zach Edey is questionable, as is Jay Huff. G.G. Jackson is out. Marcus Smart is questionable. Still no Vince Williams for the Grizzlies. So Bane and Morant are healthy again. And someone mentioned that Morant hates the Lakers. I mean, sub 9K, he looks really good to me. Kind of surprised he's not more popular. Definitely a guard I'm going to be getting heavy exposure to tonight. The front court, I will say, if we have Edie and Huff out again, Brandon Clark's going to look pretty good. Never a play I'm excited to get to, but with power forward eligibility, sub 5K, with both those guys out, I do think he's someone you'll probably feel pretty good about. Desmond Bain, I don't know that I'm getting to him in lineups with Jaw unless I'm really trying to load up on that game. But he's a pretty good pivot, still reasonably priced. But what's your take on Memphis, man? They've been running deep rotations, but they're still producing for the most part. Jaw and Bain, I mean, I wish they were playing more minutes. But yeah, 32, they're kind of priced where they should be for the most part. I think we could still get some upside off them.
Yeah, like you said, I think they're all good GPP plays. Bain or Morant, they both look good. Prefer going to Morant if you could find the extra money, and then Brandon
Yeah.
Clark looks good. Power forward eligibility. Jaron Jackson's another high upside play with power forward eligibility. He's basically $1,000 cheaper on DraftKings. I think he's an okay play too.
Yeah, on DK, I like it, man. It's rare we see a guy that much cheaper over on DK compared to FanDuel. Power forward eligibility. I'm with you, though. I really think if you can get the salary for Moran over Bain, he's the better play. And again, I just want to once again just reiterate that if both Huff and Edie are out, or even if one's out, you could probably get to Clark. If both are out, this ownership is way too low. So just keep an eye on that. Aldama, another guy we've seen occasionally spike a ceiling, but not something I'm rushing to get to. Over on the Lakers side, the big news is LeBron. He's listed as questionable. I didn't see if he went through shoot around. I don't know if anyone in chat or you did. Feel free to drop that news on me. I'd love to have it. AD is dealing with plantar fasciitis, but he is probable. He should be good to go here. Jackson Hayes out. Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood still unavailable as well. So, we do have a handful of payups on this slate, right? We got Luca, we got Tatum. I think AD, if LeBron is out, is still going to be the priority. I think even if LeBron's in, you could like AD here, especially with the Memphis front court being a little bit banged up. Yeah, I wanted to make D'Lo a thing the other night against Minnesota. That was a joke. Sorry to anyone who tailed me on that. I definitely warned you. I said it was probably a terrible idea, and it turned out to be a terrible idea. Austin Reeves is back. He looks fine. Don't mind getting to him a little bit. Rui, if LeBron's out again, I think I could get to. But right now, I like AD kind of regardless. I probably won't play LeBron either way. I know he likes to play his best with a chip on his shoulder, but first game back after missing a few, I don't know. I'd have trouble getting there. I do like AD though, even dealing with the plantar fasciitis. I think his upside is just great here, and locking him in late, like you have all the maneuverability you need if we do get some weird late breaking news. Having all that salary, you can kind of make things work as you need to. So, what's your take on the Lakers? Have you heard anything on LeBron? Because I haven't today. I've been kind of buried in NFL, but yeah, man, I don't know if he goes tonight, and if he doesn't, AD's kind of a must for me.
Yeah, I haven't heard much. Given the line, I kind of think he plays, but I'm not sure. So I think either way, I'm probably not going to get too much LeBron. I never really do. I think he's okay, but I prefer getting to AD for less than $1,000 more on DraftKings. The ownership's there, but especially if we do get LeBron out, I think he's one of the better plays on the slate against this Memphis team. And then Austin Reeves, I think, looks pretty good on both sides. That's pretty much it for me, unless LeBron's out. Then I'll have more interest in guys like Rui or Max Christie or D'Lo.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I think we're pretty much lockstep there. And yeah, Reeves, I mean, we have him at 30 minutes. It'd be nice to see him playing a few more, but he's capable of hitting value at 6K anyway. And I will say this, I think Christie's probably going to get the start here again. I don't have much interest in him. If Connect would start over him, I don't know. They raised the price on Connect, so he's still tough to get to. Let's check out chat here. We got plenty of time to take on any other questions. I never took your question down, Don, so that's been up on the screen for a while. Yeah, guys, get questions in. We got some time today. I think Jayhawk's going to be in the Discord for just 20 minutes or so right before lock again. Kind of weird timing today with the NFL, with the slate locking an hour early. But yeah, I guess let's just get started on the dummy, right? I mean, probably Kaminga, maybe Healed. Is that where we're starting tonight with Golden State, or where do you want to go?
Yeah, I like starting with Kaminga, and we could do Hield too.
Yeah, I'll leave Healed out for now, but I do think point per dollar he probably ends up making sense. But we don't have to. I don't want to call him a core play necessarily. We had Champagne too, right? From
Yeah.
make sure you're picking the right one from the Wizards here. Obviously, not the best matchup, just too cheap for what he's been doing with so many guys out for the Wizards. Point guard. I mean, I really like Ja. It sounds like you do as well.
Yeah, we can go Joe.
Yeah, and I do want Suggs too. Um, what's your take on Suggs?
Yeah, I think Suggs looks good. Someone I'll probably be over the field on.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to force your hand, but at 7,400, it seems a little cheap to me, and even in tough matchups. So let's go Suggs. Let's go Ja, and then maybe we plug AD and see where that leaves us. I mean, we're gonna be needing value.
Yeah.
Um, like, let's see if this even works. I mean, it's possible. Like, if this is our core, or if we get rid of Suggs and go with like Anthony Black, I think now we're kind of cooking with fire here. Yeah, 5,200. Anyone that we don't have yet that you're really prioritizing? I mean, I know I'm kind of ripping through this, but
No, I think at shooting guard we could go Hield. He kind of saves us some salary.
yeah, 4,800 makes a lot of sense. Then we're back at forward. I mean, we got Castle in. I don't hate Sochan, but probably don't want to pay that for him with Castle in. I mean, we have McDaniels. It feels a little bit chasey, but 4,200.
Yeah, I like McDaniel's.
Okay,
Good.
I'm with it. And then we got 6,700 left for utility. And that's Gobert. No. Washington. No. Since we didn't. Oh, we did get Morant. I was going to say Bane. Uh, it's kind of a weird range.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. Maybe we do go back up to Suggs now and see where that leaves us because we did get some good value. And hold on. Actually, no. I don't know if this is going to work. Is there anything 3,600 worth playing today? If there is, this is a hell of a lineup. Jackson Davis, probably not. Maybe Cornette, hoping for the blowout. That's a really large field type play. I don't know. Probably not, man. Um, let's see. I mean, if we go somewhere in between Black and I don't know. I like Pritchard as like a sneaky kind of upside play, and then we're left with 53. Maybe this makes some sense. Uh, I don't know. Koulibaly's okay. Lively's pretty good. We're in the zone. We're close enough, I think. And again, I mean, if you wanted to play Black, or I don't know, you could come down from Moran for Suggs and still play them together. Probably get something better at this utility spot. Um, Again, I would have AD in the utility spot if you're playing another center, just so you can move things around as we do get more news. I'm just going to refresh here quickly and see if we got anything else. No, just that Spurs stuff. Here we go. We got some questions here. Bain or Reeves if LeBron's out? Let me see what the model has. So the model has Bain in, or I mean, the model has LeBron in right now. Bain 9.8, Reeves 7.5. It's definitely Bain if he's in, but what do you think? Bain or Reeves if LeBron's out?
That one's tough. Kind of a big price gap too, but I don't know.
It
I'd
is tough,
probably
man.
I'd probably go Reeves if LeBron's out.
Yeah, yeah. If LeBron's out, probably Reeves. Otherwise, stick with Bain. Favorite props? I mean, Sean, this is a tough one. I don't know. Do you have anything that you're already on? I would have to kind of dig through the slate and see. I mean, I'll scroll through quickly here. Um, uh,
Sundays, I kind of take the day off on props just because I'm busy with NFL stuff, so I didn't do
yeah, I
anything.
feel you. I don't know. I like those combos. I've been playing more of those lately, like point rebounds assist. I would maybe do something like that for Suggs, who could still be a little bit undervalued. Um, I don't know. I do like Suggs against the Knicks. I think if they're going to keep that game close, he's the reason. Uh, yeah, again, we're a DFS show. If we had the time, we'd love to dig into more props for you. But I don't know. Nurk rebounds too, maybe against the Blazers, just because they have no one. I mean, the minutes have been limited for him. So it would depend where the number's at, but maybe PRA for Nurk and Suggs. I'll give that as an answer. But Sean, don't spend too much on those. I didn't really get enough time to dig in. Ray, any other value tonight? So we got time here. We'll search by value. I mean, on DK first, Champagne's popping, healed Goga. Did we not use Goga in our build? Yeah, I'd probably have gotten to Goga. I think we're like 200 off or something. Um, but yeah, really like Goga tonight. Koulibaly and Sar, a little bit riskier, but again, Washington's super thin. Even if that game blows out, they'll probably be heavily involved. Um, any other value that's not necessarily popping in the model you're getting a lot of, or is there anything you really want to just, I don't know, co-sign or plant a flag in? We got
No.
decent value. Like I feel like we might get more though.
Yeah, I think there's a good possibility we get more. It's a Sunday, and teams tend to rest some guys on Sundays, so be prepared for that.
Yep, it's true. And then over on FanDuel, I mean, Nurk is too cheap. Conley's fine. Champagne, he's still popping as a good value play, even though he's 1K more on FanDuel. So that shows you how good he is over on DK. We both mentioned Kamara. Not the highest ceiling, but probably a little bit too cheap for what he's capable of. Do we think Booker's a good play today? I'll say if Beal's out, he's definitely a good play. If Beal's in, he's pretty much boomer bust. I'd rank him similarly to like a Jalen Brown or I don't know Jalen Brunson. He's kind of in that range. I think with Beal out, I like him a lot. But what's your take on Book today? It is a pretty good matchup against the Blazers.
Yeah, I'm not really getting there. He's kind of expensive on DraftKings.
Yeah,
FanDuel, I think he's fine.
yeah. I mean, 600 definitely makes a difference. And he has forward eligibility on FanDuel too, so it makes him even easier to get through over there. But again, if Beal's out, he's going to become very appealing. I think with Beal in, and if I'm going to play one of that big three, it's probably going to be KD, just for a little bit cheaper. Funky drops Nurk's name here. I like it. FM saying take out AD. I mean, yeah, if we wanted to get a little bit more balance, play it safe, you could take AD out, go down to I don't know. Um, off the top of my head, I don't know, but yeah, you could upgrade several positions in doing so. Any value that will play 3,800. So, for those who don't already have access to the model, I'll kind of show you how we do this here. So, you could just scroll the price setting down to 3,800 for DK, sort by OF index. Yeah, we got Jared Butler for the Wizards. Not something I'm excited to get to, but I don't know how many minutes. 20 minutes. Max Christie's probably going to get the start. I don't know if there's anything here I trust. Um, I don't know. Keita or Cornette, maybe. Who comes in first? Do you think? I mean,
Uh, they just randomize it, I think.
right? It seems that way. Yeah, Keita played 17, 18 minutes his last two. Cornette played 12, but had 20 fantasy points. I don't know. I guess Keita, like if you really, really need to go that cheap, I will say I probably wouldn't go that cheap if you can help it.
It's like
Alexander Walker has some upside. What were you going to say?
it's like we have good value, but no, not really any cheap value. Like the 3 to 4K range is kind of gross. Like all these guys you could take shots on if you really need it, but you're kind of hoping for like 20 fantasy points.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you could find a little bit more, I think we both said McDaniels at what 4,200.
Yeah.
He's going to pop up, or he's a little more than that. Yeah, McDaniels shows up. Clark, especially if one of those other centers are out for Memphis. Kamara. So if you could just find a few more and get into the mid 4K range, definitely feel more comfortable there. Anthony Black is another one as well. So trying to find a little bit more salary. Um, what else we got going? Thank you from Ray. Clay Thompson over 2.5 threes. Normally we wouldn't do this, but I'll pull him up. Check out what he's been doing lately. So Yeah, I mean he's gonna get the attempts. I think 5 for 10 last time out, 3 for 9, 3 for 5 against his former team. I'd say over. You to take
Yeah,
on Clay. I think he could hit three here. He's done it three in a row.
yeah, I don't hate that. Yeah, Curry's probably playing. I forgot they were playing Dallas, so he'd probably want to play that one.
Yeah, they had some fun last game talking a lot
Yeah,
of crap up and down the court, so that's when you could probably mix in. Nurkic or Klingon, that's definitely Nurk for me. How about you?
yeah, nerd.
Drew Holiday, I believe. I think you wrote Drew. I'm fine with him, man. You probably need that game to stay relatively close, but they are pretty hesitant to up the price of Holiday. And it's kind of funny. Like, before he went down with an injury, it wasn't that bad of an injury. He missed a few games. I don't know. He wasn't really hitting value all that often. Since he's been back, I mean, 30 fantasy points, 36 fantasy points, 40 fantasy points. He's been awesome. So, yes, to answer you, probably wouldn't play him in lineups with Pritchard, but I do like Drew enough. Let's see here. Yeah, Derek White, fine. Kind of same situation as the rest of Boston. With Champagne, I always get this mixed up, but uh, it, it just says J here, so that's not helpful.
Justin.
It's Justin, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Julian's on the Spurs, and with Castleman, can't really get to him. Yeah, Justin Champagne with Washington, the better of the two Champagnes. And Koulibaly, 6K on FanDuel. Yeah, he's viable. He had a huge game. He gets stocks. He's someone you can mix in as well. I think that's everything, guys. And again, we're waiting on a lot of news, so just keep that in mind. We're waiting on Curry. We're waiting on LeBron. We're waiting on that front court for Memphis. We're waiting on Bradley Beal. So make sure that if you are locking in players in these early games, that you're using spots that you're comfortable locking up. Leave the guard forward spots on DK open because you have more maneuverability, obviously utility as well. And yeah, hopefully the news breaks our way. I know the other night we all thought Murray would be out for the Nuggets. He ended up in. That's what forced me into a bunch of Chris Paul and definitely messed our night up. But yeah, if you don't want to try to predict what happens with these injuries, which is certainly a difficult thing to do, just make sure you have options. That's the best way to go about it. But any last thoughts, Smitty, before we call it a day and pass it off to Jayhawk over in the Discord?
nope. I think we covered everything.
Nice, man. Yeah, so good luck, everyone. Whether it be NFL, NBA, or anything else, hope you crush tonight. Hope to see more screenshots in the Discord. As always, take care. Have a great evening.